Our next talk is Carolina Agurcia, Fears.
Life is full of decisions. Some decisions are simple, like simply choosing what you're going to eat, what you're going to wear, where you're going to go. But some decisions are here to challenge you and me as human beings. We can either choose to stay the same or we can choose to grow. And it's easy to say that we'll all choose growth. And I bet all of us would say that we'll choose growth. But it's not that easy. There are obstacles and challenges that we'll face, and one obstacle in particular that can destroy this growing process. But before I get into that, I want to introduce myself and ask you guys some questions. Does anyone here have a phobia? What's your phobia? Arachnophobia? No one else? Okay. So, my name is Carolina Urcia. I'm a junior in high school about to become a senior, and I have a phobia for frogs and toads. I also have a little secret to tell you. I'm a little scared of being up here. And I know it's an unusual way to describe myself, but I'm sure you're figuring out the trend by now. There's a big difference between a fear and a phobia. And even though phobias can't be controlled, I believe that fear is the most challenging obstacle that we have to face as humans, because everyone has fears. And to show you how irrational phobias can be, and even though they're so irrational, I still believe that fears can control you more. To show you how irrational phobias can be, I'm going to tell you a little story about my phobia. And irrational is the key word to the definition of a phobia, because we can't control it. If you ask me, I don't know why I have a phobia for frogs and toads. I mean, who has a phobia for frogs and toads? But I can't control it, I'm sorry. So, this Christmas, so this just happened, I told my little niece, and I made the mistake of telling my 7-year-old niece that I had this phobia. And she told me that her mom, my sister, had this fake frog. And I told her I didn't want to see that ever in my life. And she's like, no, I'm not going to show it to you. And 3 days later, I thought she had forgotten about all of this. And she hadn't. So I wake up in my room. My brother was sleeping in the other bed. And he had already woken up. And the door to my room was open. I was, And so I decided to ignore it, and I wanted to go back to sleep. And so when I'm turning my head to go back to sleep, I see the silhouette of my little niece just standing there in the middle of the room. I decided to ignore it, again, big mistake. And 45 minutes later, I wake up, and there's this just frog standing in the middle of the room looking at me. And I start crying. I'm literally frozen in my bed, laying down, crying. I don't know what to do. I'm shaking. I'm praying that someone will come up the stairs and be my hero. And no one ever came. It was 15 minutes of me crying, and I didn't know what to do. So I'm like, no, okay, I'm going to sit down. So I sit down, and that was the worst decision ever because I had clear eyes on my enemy. And so I'm crying more and more, and I lay back down, and I'm frozen again. I'm like, no. Okay, so I'm going to call my mom. I call my mom, and she doesn't answer. I call her again, and she doesn't answer. She literally is in her phone every single day, every single time of day, and she decided not to be on her phone the day I needed her. So I call my dad, and he answers, and he runs up the stairs, and I don't know how to talk. I'm like, I point to the frog, and I'm still crying. And he just picks it up. I don't know where he put it, and I don't know, want to know. And for my dad to be worried, that's actually something. So this story was just to show you how irrational and how uncommon phobias can be. I mean, I literally cried for like 45 minutes straight just because of a fake frog. And I assure you that if I see that frog again, I'm gonna cry again. I'm literally sweating just talking about this story. And so with fears, it's a little bit different. It's actually a big difference. Because with fears, we can control it. But what's scary about fears is that we all have fears. And we can let these fears control us. It's human nature to try to fit in. We all want to fit in. We're social animals. We want to feel part of a group. We want to feel liked. It's normal, especially in our teenage years. So we fear being different. We fear saying something that's out of the ordinary. We also fear taking risks because we don't know where these risks will take us. We fear failure because failing means that we're also a failure. But that's not true. Failing just means that we have to get back up again and try again because there's something missing. So, we also fear being different because, again, what are they gonna think about me? And Frozen, yes, the movie, you remember that little rock? That little rock told Anna that fear would be her enemy. And I have never heard any truer words. Fear will be our enemy if we let it control us. But the advantage with fears that phobias don't have is that we can control them. And I don't want you to get me wrong. I don't want you to go out there and drive like a maniac. Or I don't want you to go out there and just jump off a cliff because you're scared of that. No. All I want you to do is to take risks because that's what we're missing. We as humans live in fear of telling the person we like him. We live in fear of telling the person that we don't like him because he's hurting me. We live in fear of wearing shoes that aren't Nike, Adidas, or Gucci because what are the others gonna think about me? We live in fear of being different, saying our opinions out loud because again, what are the others gonna think about me? So today, I'm here to tell every one of you to allow yourself to control the fears that are inside of our brains. I'm here to challenge you, to challenge yourselves to do something that you never thought you could or you never thought you would. Because by taking risks and by accepting this challenge, do you accept my challenge? Okay. By accepting this challenge, you'll see that when you're gonna go up there when the others are gonna be down here. You can be the best person you could ever be. And sometimes fearing that we don't want to fit in, I don't understand that. Because why would we all want to fit in if that group we want to fit into doesn't accept you as who you are? We're risking our happiness and our self-love just because of that one group. So I want you guys to accept my challenge, to take risks and to be different, to tell the person that you like him or her, to tell the person that's hurting you, to tell her or him to stop. Take risks, be different, seek discomfort like Graciela said, because we can't be too afraid to live life.